Welcome to this edition of Resource PNG. The Mineral Resource Authority is a government agency that executes functions on behalf of the PNG government. Tonight we speak to Acting Managing Director of the Mineral Resource Authority, Philip Summer. We find out which new mines are coming up, the current progress of Yandara and the Frida River project, and we also hear what PNG is doing to diversify its mineral base. Later in the show, we feature an interview with Peter Taylor of Rio Tinto. But first, here's Anya Geno in an interview with Philip Summer.
I have with me Philip Summer, the Acting Managing Director of Minerals Resources Authority. Welcome to the show, Philip.
Thank you very much, and thank you for having me and the MRA on the show.
So, Philip, what's the general status of the mining industry locally and internationally?
We have a very vibrant mining industry, as well as an exploration industry that's on par with the world. The requirements, best practice requirements around the world, that's practiced by the industry here. And so, to date, we have eight mines currently operating, and they're all world-class operations. We have some of the biggest mines. I mean, you look at Lihir, putting out 1 million ounces now. 1 million ounce is really something to achieve in any sector, particularly in terms of the mining industry. And so to put out those much ounces, you need a good and a vibrant mining industry to be able to facilitate such. Yeah.
So a vibrant and healthy industry at the moment.
Absolutely, yes.
Some major mining projects such as Frida and Yandara appear to have stalled. What's the reason for this?
I wouldn't say stall. In fact, they've progressed significantly to a stage where they're currently putting together their feasibility documents. So what they've done over the last 2 to 4 years or 6 years is that they've been proving up the resource in the ground. And what's happening now over the last few months is that they've now compiled that into a set of documents, a feasibility study document, that they then need to provide that to the state, seeking whatever regulatory or statutory approvals that are required. So it's not like it's been stalled. The companies are actually putting together those documents to satisfy our requirements, and not only that, their shareholders as well. Yeah, in fact, Yandara is right now completing its feasibility study. It's only a matter of time when they should submit to the state. Frida has completed their feasibility study, but there are some internal arrangements where between the partners they need to discuss the outcomes of the study before presenting it to the state. And I would say during this year we should be able to receive the feasibility study from Xstrata on Frida. Yeah.
Now, what are the new mines that are coming up, and in terms of production, how big do you think they will be?
The last mine that came on production was almost 12 months ago, or less than that. That's Ramo. Now, after Ramo, we've had Woodluck mine. That's by Kula Gold, and they've just submitted the bankable feasibility study along with an application for mine development lease. And so we're currently reviewing that. So that Woodluck mine will be the latest mine to come on stream. It's a small operation. When I say small, you're looking at them putting out, and it's a gold operation, something like 100,000 ounces of gold. You compare that to Porgera, for example, that's doing 700,000 plus. Yeah, so Kula's doing about 100,000, and it's anything between 5 to just under 10-year mine life. So we have Kula coming on stream. It's scheduled for production in 2015 first quarter, and then we, following Kula, would be 1 or 2 other projects that would come on stream. But the only project now that's submitted an application for a development lease and therefore primed for production is actually Woodluck mining. Yeah.
Can you tell us about some of your advanced projects progressing into mines?
Sure. We have a good pipeline of projects that are coming up within the next, 10 years at least, yeah. And apart from Woodluck, that's submitted a lease or development lease application, the other advanced projects we have Mount Carey, we have Yandera, we have Frida, and we have Wafi. So there are another 4 or so, but if I just dwell around there because of the stage at which they have advanced. This looked like the generation of mines that would follow Woodluck. Yeah. For Mount Carey, for example, we've heard a lot about Mount Carey, you know, and not so much good stories, but always challenging. Yeah. Summit come in. Summit is a subsidiary of Indochin that, you know, runs the mine, operates the mine. They've done an excellent job. Within 18 months, they've taken a project that was left behind, turned it into one that they're about to deliver a full feasibility study on this year. That's an incredible story. So, you know, Mount Carey definitely from behind now suddenly, you know, coming up to be one of the next mining projects to be brought on stream.
Right.
We have Yandera. Again, Yandera is an exciting one because it adds molybdenum into the equation. You know, we are traditionally gold, copper, and silver. Ramu's added nickel and cobalt. Yandera's adding molybdenum. And again, you know, there's all this mix. Frida's, you know, like I said, will be handing their feasibility study to the state before the end of this year. Wafi, there's this extensive consultation between us and the company. We are managing it because it's such a big project. It's almost twice the size of Oak Teddy, and requires attention right from the early stages right up until to advanced and development stage. So,
how much revenue can we expect from the mineral sector? That's coming up next. In this segment, Philip Sama tells us how much we can expect from the mineral sector. He also talks about prospects for rare earth minerals in the country and how MRA is assisting with a diversification initiative. We also hear about prospects of developing coal resources.
How much revenue can the state expect to see from the influx of these new mines?
There will be significant revenue. I wouldn't want to go into the numbers right now, given that many of these projects are in feasibility stage, and you know, the numbers do change. Right now we're sitting on what, 14 to 1500 the price of gold per ounce. By the time these projects come on stream, the price of gold will be somewhere, the price of metals will be somewhere, and therefore the quantum or the quantity of revenue to the state would, you know, would also shift as well. But what I can assure you is that there will definitely be significant revenue to the state. Not as significant as the LNG maybe, yeah, but mining's always been the backbone of the industry, and will continue to be. Yeah.
What are the prospects for rare earth minerals in the country, and how is the MRA assisting to diversify our mineral base?
Yeah, the diversification initiative is an important one. We've always concentrated our effort on gold, copper, and silver because we are perhaps endowed to a significant extent with these metals. Yeah. Over the last 7 years, I would say, or less, we've focused on diversifying that mineral base. With MRA set up back in 2007, and over the last 4 years, we've ensured that we've gone out and attracted people or marketed and promoted the country and bring in people who are looking for the other metals and not just the traditional gold, copper, and silver. Rare earths, I'm a mining engineer by background, but if you ask me what rare earth is, I'll have to go back to school on that. Okay, but you know, we do have, there are about 2 companies currently in the sector who are chasing rare earths. They have exploration licenses. One's found quantities of rare earths, the other is just studying. So these are early days for the country. But for me, that's great news, right? We can see the potential of our mineral endowment, and we're not just sitting on 3 metals. Yeah, we're sitting on a host of other metals. And so, like I said, the MRA over the last 4 years has consciously gone out to bring in people who can come and assist us look for these other, you know, metals that are sitting in the ground waiting to be found.
There was talk at the Mining and Petroleum Conference last year of coal. Has there been any further developments on that?
Yes, that's one of the exciting news lately. In fact, a number of concessions on around Western Province and Gulf Province have proven up some indication of coal, you know, resources, and the early indications are good. But again, these tenements were given over the last 3 years. So, and you know, with whatever they've found to date, there is a need for more work to be done to prove up its full potential.
Right.
So again, yeah, there is coal sitting in there. And, you know, all we need to do is to encourage whoever is looking for it to be provided that opportunity to continue to do a good job in proving it up. One of the initiatives that the MRA intends to roll out as of next year, 2014, is that we'd like to encourage it, the explorers, where we, you know, put up some money.
Mm-hmm.
As a government, we have a responsibility to prove up our mineral resource. If we sit down and expect other players to come in and do it, hey, they do a great job, right? But what's the commitment from government to do it? We are willing to actually put up some money aside, you know, 1 million, 2 million kina, and have a PPP arrangement with people who are looking for these other metals, so that we encourage them. We provide the money, they apply for it. We then enter into an arrangement with them where there's a PPP partnership going into looking for these other metals. And I'm sure that's the right way to go for government. And would like to see it through. I need to take it to my board and eventually through to government. But I'm sure we'll get there.
Do you think it's important that we see a bit more diversity in what we're exporting in the way of minerals?
We have to. As you know, the sector is cyclic. Yeah. 10 years ago, 12 years ago, the price of gold wasn't as phenomenal as it is right now. And this won't last. Yeah. You know, there are people out there that say, you know, we're going to hit 2,000 and go, but that's fine. You know, they're trained for that. So I guess we'll just keep on watching. But we definitely need to diversify our mineral base if we need to sustain the industry. Yeah. You don't want to go bust when one of those metals go bust.
That's right.
Yeah, so it's not a prudent management of our resource. And besides, we have a responsibility to realize our full potential. Why should we sit on just a few? You know, when we know God's blessed the earth that we walk on with heaps of it.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
We'll have more of the interview after the break. Thank you for staying with us on Resource PNG. We continue with an interview with the Acting Managing Director of Mineral Resource Authority, Philip Summer.
Now about the current MOAs, which have been reviewed and which are completed, and how are they coming up?
The MOAs are challenging, and again, we've tried our best to manage it, and we have. For some reason, this year is an interesting one because all the MOA reviews are actually up. We have 9 mines, but 8 are operating. Kanantu is under care and maintenance. So all the 8 MOAs are actually up for review this year. And so the MRA has organized itself, and for Ramu, for example, a number of them have advanced. Yeah. Ramu and the Octedi one. Ramu is about 90% complete. I think what needs to be done is for the Medang provincial government to take their position to the provincial executive council in order to get a resolution, and then that then is the Medang provincial government's position. And once we have that, we then take it to the NEC for ours, and that like seals it up. So for Ramu, we're almost 90% there. The next round of discussions is May 6 to 10, which is next month.
Right.
For the Simberi one, the first meeting was convened last week in Kavieng. It went well. The parties actually sat through it and agreed on a set of issues and programs and agenda to get this done before October this year. So the next round of discussions on Simberi is around May 23 to 25. For Octedi is a record one, and that was done within 2 meetings. We are 95% complete. The balance of it is that we need the Fly River provincial government actually making some decision on the transfer of 10% of their royalties to the landowners. This was agreed by the parties in the last meeting in Kokopo, so it's just a matter of the provincial government taking it to the chambers and making a resolution on it, and then we should be complete, hopefully, getting the lawyers to stitch that up and ready for signing. The Pogara one, Pogara's an interesting one. It's an on, off, and there are good reasons for it. Some challenging ones, but we're about 60% of the way there. The latest meeting was up in Hagen, and the next one is in June 10th to 15th. Yeah, and there are a number of issues that on benefit distribution, on management of the hospital there, and other things. So we will address those and get them over the line. Hopefully there are no surprises by any of the parties this time, so that we can really conclude that review. It's been outstanding for a long time. Yeah, and again, it's all the parties. And it's the parties sitting at that review. And if one party decides, okay, I'll call it timeout. Okay, timeout. If it's 6 months, timeout. Particularly for MRA, where we play a facilitation role. Our control, if you like, if I may, is not exactly. We're just facilitating, getting parties to the table, trying to find resolution, and doing all of that. So we don't necessarily, control it. Yeah, we're managing a process, but I believe that the parties are well intentioned, and we will get the Pogara one attended to this year.
Can I ask why Pogara's been a bit contentious?
Sure. Apart from the government, we've had to make 1 or 2 decisions. I believe most of the deferrals were at the request of the landowner stakeholders, and we respect that. They are an equal party at the table. So as and when they get back to the table, and we've already recommenced the process, so I'm hoping to hold everybody together so that we can actually complete this review. Yeah. The Tolokuma one, Tolokuma started, and we've just deferred it because of Petromin's current involvement. The government's made some decisions, and so we need Petromin fully focused and committed so that we can get real value in this process. And so out of consideration for that, the stakeholders have agreed that let's just push it to June or somewhere. Once all of this is done, and we can then pick it up and complete that process. So the Tolokoma one's now been shifted to June 24 to 28. Hidden Valley is about 40% complete. The meeting as of 3 weeks ago was a good one. The stakeholders agreed on a number of issues to address, and the next meetings scheduled for next month. Issues like the SSG, which is common right throughout all the other MOAs, are a sticking point in the Hidden Valley one. So everybody wants increased rates, not only Hidden Valley, all the stakeholders, and rightly so. Yeah, we want increased rates because we believe we're entitled to something. You've got to change those rates, and the bureaucracy, particularly MRA, doesn't have control over that. It has to go back to NEC so that SSG rates are increased, royalty or whatever, before we actually, put it into those revised agreements. Yeah. The Lihir one, the Lihir one has two agreements. One is the compensation agreements, which is the Integrated Benefits Agreement, IBP, which we've been on it for the last 12 months. The parties have just recently made a commitment to get this done by July this year, and we want the compensation one completed first before we commence the MOA reviews. Yeah, because the same stakeholders that are involved in the compensation agreement need to be satisfied. Yeah, we're getting our fair share and our, being compensated appropriately. And then, okay, let's talk MOA. So that's scheduled for the first week of May 1st, 2nd, and 3rd. And I'm looking forward to that. So finally, the Sinivit MOA will start around April 25 to 28. And again, Sinivit's a small mine, but it has some unique issues, but no different from any of the others. So again, I'm confident that once we start the Sinivit process, that we will be able to complete it before the end of the year. If I may, all of this is about managing issues, and unless particularly the MRA and the parties are committed to those issues, they have to clearly understand what their issues are. They have to have a position on it, and they have to agree that that's the position. Many times certain parties agree, other parties don't agree, and we're not able to get that movement going forward, particularly within the same stakeholder group. I mean, for the state, as you appreciate, it's easy. We get decisions, we put it on. Other stakeholders, perhaps it's not really that easy. Different people, different ambitions, and all of that. So, but yeah, all the MOAs are up this year. It'll be a busy year for MRA, but we're committed to the process. And our target for the MOAs, out of all these 8, if we are able to deliver 50% this year and better, I think we've done our job. Yeah.
Is there any new approaches to MOA reviews?
I need help. The MRA needs help. I mean, of course, we need to come up with different or better ways of delivering an outcome that we're all familiar with, but you use the same set of protocols, you find it runs out of usefulness. We've tried various initiatives. What we are doing now is we brought in external facilitators. See, traditionally, the state chairs these MOA reviews, but then the state is a party to the review. I'm sitting there chairing. I need to negotiate on behalf of the state. I'm caught in a tight position. So we've moved away from this, where the state is chairing the sessions, and we've contracted independent, eminent persons, eminent Papua New Guineans, to facilitate, either as external observers, independent observers, whatever, or as independent chairmen. We currently have this for the Hidden Valley MOA. We currently have this protocol in place for the Lihir MOA. Sorry, the Lihir, yes, the Lihir MOA and the Lihir Compensation Agreement, the IBP. We intend to also deliver same for the Simberi one and the Pogera one, and the others, they'll follow. It makes it easy for us, yeah? You wear one cap, you know what your issues are, but because of the unique position the state is in, and the state's mandated to ensure the MOAs are functional and managed and all of that, we still provide that cover, you know. So,
is that proving to be best practice to have external facilitators come in, independent facilitators?
Well, I believe so. You create a level playing field for everybody, and there is no, you know, ill intent or ulterior, I guess, views by other parties that the state's driving its own agenda and so on and so forth. And but more than that, actually, you know, over the last 2.5 years, it's worked for us. Say Brownby, who's delivering the Lihir process for us, is doing an excellent job, and is supported by an independent secretariat, fully paid for by the parties. Yeah, and that frees government from its limited resources to concentrate on doing what we do best, yeah, and allowing that process to actually deliver. We also have introduced pre-consultation avenues. You know, prior we would just send a notice, that's a date set there, come and let's talk and get it done with. We are now having a process where we build in some pre-consultation processes where we appreciate the issues, the finer details, and then agree that at the MOA review proper, the 7 issues will be the issues we talk about. You know, it's logical, it makes it easier, instead of a wish list and you don't know where to start, you don't know how to begin, what do you tackle, you know. So, and yeah, it's worked for us. And again, if you don't bring commitment into that meeting, yeah, so what we've done is we've developed guidelines. We get all the parties to sign off that this is the charter that guides the way this review process will be delivered. And the job of the independent observers or the chairman or whatever is to ensure that the parties actually following what they signed up, you know, respect, you know, all these things that make meetings meaningful, yeah, instead of a chaotic forum. Yeah.
More to come on the show. Stay tuned. Welcome back to Resource PNG. If you've just joined, so far on the show we've featured an interview with the Acting Managing Director of Mineral Resource Authority, Philip Summer. We've covered new upcoming mines in the mining industry, expected revenues, diversification of mineral resources, and potential for developing coal resources. Now we hear about the World Bank Technical Assistance Project and MRA's position on resource ownership in the autonomous region of Bougainville.
Can you tell us about the World Bank TA2 project?
Yeah, the World Bank project is a technical assistance project. There are about 5 agencies. It's capacity building, really. And we started this back in 2009. The MRA, the Department of Mineral Policy, the Internal Revenue Commission, the Autonomous Bougainville Government, Department of Mining, are all recipients of this technical assistance program. The MRA has a special unit called the Special Projects Unit that manages this technical assistance program. The project comes to a close this year, actually, December 31st. That's 5 years up. There's been excellent progress, you know, to date. The IRC, for example, now has all its auditors in-house, the consultants. They've recruited about 15 to 16 national auditors, and those auditors then will be trained by these consultants to do mining and petroleum project audits, which is something we've not been able to actually grasp and been able to deliver. The Autonomous Bougainville Government, for example, we're assisting them under the project to build their capacity. As you know, they are developing the Draft Mining Act. They are building capacity to eventually the national government to transfer mining powers and functions over to them. So they have to be in a position to be able to do that. So we're building the capacity to get them there. Department of Mineral Policy, they've progressed, very well. They have a number of policies, in the queue to be rolled out, some of which address some critical issues that we are currently facing, the offshore mining, resettlement, and others. For the MRA, we are putting in place a computerized mineral tenement management system, which is critical. It ensures that your licenses are processed and held and are secure. So the program's being very helpful. The MRA will be putting in an application for extending the project by another 12 to 18 months. But that's a submission we make to the World Bank for its consideration. There are end bits that, because we've started some programs like over the last 9 months, for example, or less, I'm not able to deliver them, or each of these agencies actually are not able to deliver those projects. They need good lead times to be able to deliver them, so we're applying for an extension. But as to whether we get it, and I'm confident we can, is really dependent on us and the bank having a chat. Yeah.
What's the MRA's position on ABG resource ownership to landowners?
Good question. We respect the autonomous Bougainville government's plans and decisions on how they want to manage their mining and exploration sector. What I am aware of is that there is a draft Mining Act, draft ABG Mining Act currently in place. We received a copy. We are looking through it to provide our views. It's a consultative process, really. We're helping them, advising them whether the practicality of the whatever the intent of the draft Mining Act is. But in terms of your question on specifically on the ownership of minerals, okay, we differ in that under the Papua New Guinea one, as we all know, the state owns the minerals. Under the ABG one, the thinking is that where it's on customary land, it's shared between the customary landowners and the ABG, and where it's on non-customary land, that the ABG assumes ownership of that. And again, in terms of putting it into practice, that's something else. Yeah, but it is an interesting concept. It's not that it's the wrong thing to do. It's not. We will see when it's been applied, see the real benefits of that wisdom to give ownership back to the customary landowners. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So the government, through the MRA and of course through the state Solicitor's Office, the Attorney General, and the Department of Mineral Policy, we're assisting the ABG look at the revised draft and again collaborate with them and assist them in getting to where they want to get at. Yeah.
Thank you so much for your time, Philip.
A pleasure. Thank you very much.
Philip Summer, the Acting Managing Director for MRA.
That was the end of the interview with Philip Summer, Managing Director of Mineral Resource Authority. Next we join Peter Taylor to tell us more about Rio Tinto. We now join Peter Taylor to tell us more about Rio Tinto.
I have with me Peter Taylor, Managing Director of Bougainville Copper Limited. Peter, good to see you again.
Thank you.
Peter, Rio Tinto is one of your biggest shareholders. Perhaps you'd like to tell us a little bit about Rio Tinto?
Yes, that's true. Rio Tinto is the largest shareholder. It has over 50% of the equity in the company. It was the discoverer of the Panguna ore body and developed it, and that explains why it's the biggest shareholder.
Okay, now are you able to talk about the company's presence and your operations in PNG at the moment?
Rio Tinto? Yes, well, Rio Tinto has been operating in Papua New Guinea in one way or another for more than 50 years now. Most of the major resource projects in this country were either discovered by, managed by, or have had some part in the Rio Tinto story. So it's been a long-term investor. It's still very interested in Papua New Guinea. It sees Papua New Guinea as is one of the best resource locations in the world. Just recently, we, as Rio Tinto, had 3 exploration licences taken out last year and has explored those. Unfortunately, they weren't as prospective as it would have hoped, but my understanding is that Rio Tinto is on the lookout for other projects in Papua New Guinea.
And what's the extent of its commitment to Bougainville Copper?
Bougainville Copper has enjoyed the full support of Rio Tinto throughout. It provides the management to Bougainville Copper now under a service agreement with Bougainville Copper, and it has indicated that it is happy with Bougainville Copper's vision to reopen the mine. Although it has mentioned some caveats, it quite properly has said that the Bougainville Copper must have the support of the landowners, the people of Bougainville and the Bougainville government, as well of course as the national government, before it will commit its share of the funding to the project.
Now, what is the status currently with the operations for the mine for BCA?
At the moment, we are in a situation where we're preparing to negotiate or sit at the table with the key stakeholders, the national government, the Bougainville government, and the landowners to discuss under what terms and conditions that the mine can reopen. We're not being prescriptive about this as far as Bougainville Copper is concerned. We've said to the other parties we do want to engage with them. We want to discuss all aspects. We want to try and get consensus, because I think we need consensus to raise the funds to open the mine. It's a very expensive project. It's going to cost something probably in excess of $5 billion to develop. We'll have to go to the financial markets for that money, and the financial markets will want to know that everybody that's got a stake in the project is on board and fully supportive.
So it's still at discussion stages?
It is. Rio Tinto is not directly involved at this stage in discussions. It's leaving the current program open to leaving it with Bougainville Copper, but the Bougainville government is forming a negotiating group, and they've actually allocated a place at the table for Rio Tinto should it feel that when the time's right that it wants to come and sit at the table with the other parties.
We'll have more of the interview when we return. Welcome back. We continue the interview with Peter Taylor.
Now, the fact that Bougainville had a slightly different political structure when the mine was first operating, it's now an autonomous region. Do you expect that has any difference on, has a different impact on your negotiations this time around?
Oh, absolutely. Some people have forgotten that when the mine arrangements were first negotiated, Papua New Guinea was not an independent country. So the dealings were done with the Australian administration, and the Australian administration had the best will in terms of Papua New Guinea at the time, but clearly it was also thinking about what was best for Australia leading up to independence. And part of the dilemma Australia had at that time was it really only had a relatively short period of time in which to prepare Papua New Guinea for independence. The United Nations was pressing those countries that were administering colonies to give them independence, and it hadn't really prepared the Bougainville as well as the PNG economy for independence. So the Panguna ore body presented an opportunity to build a very large, and PNG's at that stage only large, resource development to underpin the economy. This time round, Papua New Guinea itself is in quite a different situation. It's a well-established mineral province. There are lots of projects here. One project like a Bougainville Copper is, although very important, should it reopen to the PNG economy, it's no longer as necessary as it once was. We have a different form of government in Bougainville, of course. As you've rightly said, it is now an autonomous province. It has its own constitution. It has the right to have its own mining laws. So we'll have to deal directly with the Bougainville government leading up to opening the mine.
Peter, at BCL's height of its production, it was contributing around 20% to PNG's GDP. Do you expect that you will get back to that level? I understand there are a lot more players now.
No, it won't in terms of the national government's GDP, but for Bougainville, it will be a very big part of the Bougainville economy. When the mine was operating, there were no other big mines, so there wasn't the resource industry as now. So it was able to have that very high level of impact on GDP. But for Bougainville, it is of critical importance in terms of developing its economy and its revenue base, particularly in the short to medium term, because although Bougainville is very productive agricultural production, it doesn't have the same sort of impact as a world-class, world-size copper gold mine.
Right. So if all goes well, when do you expect you might reopen the mine?
It's difficult to predict the actual opening date. We've got a better idea of how long it's going to take to develop. Part of the quandary is that until we actually get access to the mine site for our engineers and technical people, we won't know precisely what the job is. It's been over 2 decades since mining was suspended, so we've got to go back and see if there are any of the former infrastructure it can be used in the future, and if not, precisely what we need to do in terms of the technical operation. We've got a good idea of what that is, but I would say from the point of actually gaining access, we think it'll probably take somewhere in the order of 6 years before production actually commences again.
Thank you for your time, Peter.
Thank you.
Peter Taylor, the Managing Director of Bougainville Copper Limited.
That's all we have for tonight on Resource PNG. For any comments or queries, do email us on this address, resourcepng@mtv.com.pg. Or to find out more, check MTV online, that's www.mtv.com.pg, and go to our Resource PNG page. Until another edition of Resource PNG, have a pleasant evening.